because, you know, there's quite a lot of items there. And with that, we do have our start. See what we're gonna find over here. I think it's Allison. There you go. There's your blue rupee just for you. So I'm interested how these runners do approach this mode. Both of them don't look like they have a lot of retro experience according to their group matches. Fylion only doing one in the past, and Cadenza doesn't have any just yet. This is a game 3 between both of them, so obviously neither of them were looking to pick this as, you know, their own counter pick, but I'm not sure what their vetoes were, but retro probably not exactly what they were looking for.
Oh, and we have a Cane of Burna, hard mode Cane of Burna for the escape sequence.
This is going to be a pretty stressful escape sequence. I don't think we're going to see a lot of bomb farming, honestly, because, you know, with hard mode, that Cane of Burna does take twice as much magic. The vulnerability, not really too important, to be honest, but that 2x magic usage, it's going to make going through this escape sequence pretty hard. You're going to really need to be able to turn it off at the correct moments to get these necessary kills.
Yeah, they're going to need to get, what, 8 total hits? 3 for each of the blue guards and 2 for the required green guard.
I'll be quiet on this. I have not done a Cane of Burna start ever since the standard spring tournament, so I'm not too familiar with them, but we'll see if both our runners have, you know, put in that work behind the scenes to see if they can get through this without any issues.
Yeah, Cadenza making it through nice, only 1 hit. Correctly, now the thing about the Cane of Burna is it's always going to push your whatever you hit up toward the top of the screen, so just walking with the pushing so you can take less rotations and less magic.
Also, finding those bombs pretty nice because, you know, like I said, you don't really want to waste magic on, you know, trying to farm some bombs, but, you know, getting them in a chest will actually help them to get to those 3 items in the back escape. And then, you know, should they run out of magic, it's nice having that as a little bit of a backup. As we see, Fylion actually using that as well to save a bit of magic and getting that small magic pickup, you know, in return.
Yeah, absolutely, in my opinion, a good choice to use it there because you only have to use a single bomb on the greens.
Oof, and Cadenza right there, using the last of his magic on that green guard. Not terribly important right now. The next kill you'll have to get is that rat all the way at the end of the sewer. So there's a pretty good chance we'll probably find at least a couple small magic pickups. I know there's one underneath one of the pots for sure. And ooh, that's a moon pearl we see over in Zelda Cell.
Yeah, that's a good find this early. It's interesting how the seed's going to open up from there. Cadenza is going to be saved in the half damp rooms going back toward the key rat. There are a couple of guaranteed small magic pickups that could probably get you that 1 hit you're going to need for the key rat.
So as we make our way, you know, back up to that route over into the sewer, you know, both our runners, you know, given that this is hard mode, most likely going to see a little bit of routing into those potential take any caves. We want to get those early heart containers since they are a little bit more rare in hard mode, and since those kind of fall outside the logic, you know, having more health to get through this is definitely a real nice benefit.
Oh, absolutely. The take any caves do fall outside the logic, so the 4 containers you're going to be able to get from those go with the 6 containers that are still in the pool.
All right, nice little bit of a sync between both our runners, both in a great spot. fylion has a little bit more magic, but like I said, we just need enough magic to kill that rat at the very end.
Reach the dark cross and get a required key.
So with that moon pearl, you know, I'm not seeing that. Generally, when you see that early moon pearl, it's not always implying like an Aghanim required seed. I mean, obviously this isn't all dungeons, so at some point they'll need it, but you know, already getting that first step towards Dark World means, you know, potentially they can go ahead and leave it off until the very end. But due to it being retro mode, then those two chests that usually have keys in Aga's tower could actually have items instead necessary for progression. So it'll be interesting to see how they route it in. Generally, you like to route in both Aga with escape if you have to do it, but with that being kind of a isolated location, I wonder if they'll come back to it anytime soon.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't want it on your mind and you don't want to get caught doing Agate's Tower as a last location. It could just end up being really rough for you. And a lot of times people try to route retro closer to a standard or an okay. I'll stop what I was going to say because we have a bow.
Bow, not going to be too much of a use though, because we got to find a shop and buy that $80, I'm sorry, 80 rupee arrow.
Yeah, and fylion looks like it's going to go set up a Houlihan right away.
Yeah, Houlihan, a lot of value in retro, getting that early money just for a few keys, you know, the arrow that eventually we'll find the shop with it. It's nice just having that nice little stack of rupees at the start.
Yeah, so another one of the major changes in retro is 5 of the shops have been replaced with the retro shops, which sell small keys and the arrows.
And not only do we have to buy the arrow, you know, one big feature of the retro mode is that you have to spend rupees to also shoot arrows. I believe 10 rupees per wooden arrow and 50 rupees for the silver arrows. So you're going to be seeing a lot of money coming out throughout the seed. You know, all arrow pickups have been replaced with blue rupees, all the chests, blue rupees instead. I'm going to see probably a lot of blue rupees, to be honest, coming through Kakariko, as both our runners do head over that way.
Oh yeah. Now, Cadenza did find one of the tree pools is going to be 20 rupees, so that's going to be kind of nice for farming money as well. Only a big 20 in the Lumberjack, so no need for super early Aga 1 for items.
And Cadenza does find one of those small keys over in Lost Woods. You know, since there is no longer any guaranteed lost or small keys in these dungeons, you do have to find them shuffled throughout the world, or possibly in the dungeons too. Most time unlikely. But, you know, that's essentially 100 rupees right there that you don't have to spend, you know, in a shop for them.
Yeah. Now, so again, if you haven't watched a lot of retro, you're going to be like, where are they going in these random houses? Any single entrance location can end up being one of our Take Any caves. And there are 5 of them. 4 of them with either a heart or a potion, and 1 of them with one of the 4 sword upgrades.
Ooh, fylion finding out that other tree pull, the 4 red rupees. That's actually going to be pretty nice knowledge for later on. And, you know, generally as the seeds progress, you don't really do any of these tree pulls, but definitely 80 rupees. That's, you know, a silver arrow plus 3 normal arrows. That's pretty valuable for the late game.
Yeah. Cadenza also coming across the book in Blind's hut. Must have been in Braille.
I have to wonder, generally when you find that early book, it does make that early desert dip a little bit more valuable. I've seen some runners, they'll do Mini Moldorm and Diamond, but rather than going over to Ice Rock Cave, they'll make that dip over to Desert Palace instead. But I do want to mention Cadenza, she just found that 300 rupees, very valuable in retro mode.
Yeah, you can stock up on a couple of keys as well as get your arrows if the shop in town here happens to be one of the changed ones. Or we can just buy a hammer for $100. That works too.
Well, there we go. One more item towards that Dark World access, but Kakariko definitely paying off. I mean, guaranteed everyone's going to go to Kakariko right at the start, but this is a real nice start for retro mode.
And sure enough, the shop in Kakariko is one of our retro mode shops. Gotta pick up your arrows, so we're gonna start hemorrhaging money out of the front of the bow.
Yeah, and a real nice place to find it too. If they do find a flute at some point early on, they have pretty easy access to that shop if they ever need to buy, more keys.
Oh, finally I found the sword to take any.
Yeah, he was not expecting that because he's like, I'm going to go ahead and just run out. Wait, that's a sword. I'm going to go right back in. But it doesn't look like Cadenza had remembered that one. A lot of these houses in Kakariko are indeed candidates for those Tikini caves. But
Yeah.
okay, it looks like Cadenza will go back.
Yeah, Cadenza's gonna make the way up to the upper right snitch house and go ahead and pick up that sword.
So pretty comfy start. A lot of money coming out early. We found, one of our retro shops. We have a hammer, sword, bow, moon pearl, and a book of Medora. So quite a lot of options available at the start. Is it with it being all dungeons? Do we go early on to Eastern Palace and maybe find something on Armos, or do we wait later on till we have more money that will make just money management a little bit simpler to deal with?
I'd almost want to clear as much as I can overworld first before I head to Eastern, because while it's completable, the lamp was a fire source for desert, and that and the gloves, we could get 2 of the light world dungeons right out of the way.
Yeah, that's true. For all we know, despite having that access to Desert Palace this early, we may not even be able to clear it to much later in the seed when that fire source does show up. So I agree with you. Yeah, go into as many other world locations that we can, have access to. Definitely a little bit more of a safer play overall.
However, Cadenza, she's going to go straight in here for Shaz's Code Closet toward Eastern, passing up South Shore and a bunch of the probable take any caves. We're going to see if this pays off.
And one nice benefit, she only has 111 rupees right now. If she does know these dark rooms, there is that rupee room in the back of Eastern Palace. I don't know exactly how many are in there, but certainly enough to, get enough rupees to clear out Armos.
Yeah, Eastern is 90.
But yeah, at this point, how much emphasis do we put on finding those take any caves? We got our sword, so that does open up a lot, but this will really kind of show how comfortable they are with hard mode in general. Do they look for extra hearts, or do they just ignore that potential time loss and just go with whatever they find on their travels?
Me personally, and then again, I'm not good enough to even be in the tournament here. I'll look for them until I find the blue mail, and then I'll stop.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. You know, get the blue mail, maybe get like 7 or 8 hearts or so. That's a pretty comfortable spot. And fylion actually picking up the flute over from the dam. That's going to cut down on that world travel quite a lot and make getting over to Eastern Palace a little bit faster.
Yeah, so I'm going to expect from fylion here, clear of Mini Moldorm, followed by a save and quit, and then we'll just flute back after activation.
Yeah, I definitely, you know, a lot of people forget that, you know, on this route of, you know, doing South Shore, that most people just go over to Ice Rod, but definitely going over, activating that flute and fluting over to 8 a lot faster overall. Well, there's that blue tunic. So if you had 4 harder containers in blue tunic, do you ignore all the Tikinis at this point?
I checked the caves on the way. I mean, like, if it's on the way, like, just off the beaten path, I'll take it. But if we're talking, like, 2 screen transitions or something, no.
Cadenza finding the big key over in the chest right before the big chest, getting that nice hint that Spring Ball is behind Ridley. Unfortunately, this is not Super Metroid Zelda crossover randomizer, so not really going to have too much usage during this race.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Spring Ball would help Link a lot.
Can you imagine though, what if Spring Ball was actually usable in Zelda? Just go ahead and just fly around everywhere. You don't even need to, you know, go around Death Mountain. You can just jump all the way up it.
Oh yeah, just jump up the cliff sides, you know, just skip everything.
Yeah, there we go. Cadenza showing off one dark room while fylion shows off another one. The Eastern Palace, the first dark room versus the Old Man Death Mountain dark room. So kind of a little bit out of logic, but you know, when it comes to routing, it's definitely way better to just go ahead and knock these out if you do know them.
Yeah, if you're learning a Link to the Past randomizer, 2 of the first dark rooms you're going to learn are the front ones in Eastern and the Old Man. There are hands down the easiest ones, and they're pretty simple and fast once you get down like where everything is and what movement you need to make. Now, on the other hand, the back of Eastern is a different story.
Yeah, it's a little bit more risky in Retro because you have to kind of line yourself up with that Igor, and it's really difficult to do. It's pretty simple to easily do with without being in Retro, since, you know, whatever, you're just using arrows. But here you actually have to pay attention to your money. And there we go. She does get that line up with the Igor. Going to pick up that key and then probably going to go back and grab those rupees as well, possibly.
I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I might have just skipped the Igor entirely and bit the 100 rupees later.
fylion making his trek up Death Mountain does get that powder for his troubles. Gonna go ahead and give him access, not logical access, but access nonetheless over to the magic pat. And also with that hint that I think it was some cache above the pose. I think that's what it was.
Yes.
That kind of knocks out having to do that whole Dark World, you know, North Side tour. Since if you do find the boots and the mitts later on, you can just do King's Tomb and Bonk Rock straight from Sanctuary instead.
So Phylion's going to come over here and follow Cadenza into Eastern, it looks like.
Cadenza has to be a little careful here. She's going to get a little bit more rupees here, but you do need to spend some to clear out these red Igors. Okay, well, she'll have barely just enough to clear out Armos. Any missed ones here? She only has one extra arrow for this fight, unless she wants to do this with the fire sword or the hammer. So, but if she's looking for that quick kill, then she's going to play this real safe and probably just get those 3 hits. As you can see right there, instead of doing that fast kill strat where you go above them, she's going to do 1 at a time with the 3.
Yeah, it's better not to risk wasting the 2 arrows. And it's a vanilla green pendant.
Perfect place for that too. Just going to walk right over to Sahasrahla, get that kind of isolated location knocked out.
So it's going to be curious to see what this turn-in is, if it's anything of value.
Wow, that Quake medallion. So you have to wonder, where does Quake fall in for the logic now? Because, you know, Quake can really just show up at any time in the seed for most of the time, at least. And since we don't know just yet where that lamp is, you know, it's entirely possible that, you know, lamp could have been something you find really late and you weren't supposed to actually finish Armos until much later on in the seed.
Yeah, at this point the progression pretty much lies in Desert or Agana, Ice Rod Cave, Zora? No, we don't have access to Zora.
So both runners kind of retracing one another's footsteps. Cadenza gonna pick up her wet flute right here. Probably needs to blow some of that water out before he can make any music out of it. But she'll probably head over to Mini Moldorm and then do that save and quit back. See if she actually goes over to Ice Rock Cave afterwards. Try to look for that instead of going over to Desert right away.
Yeah, I feel a flute to 8 to check Ice Rod, followed by a flute to 6 to check Agana, Ledge, and go into Desert.
So that red boomerang found, and Cadenza, yeah, she's gonna head over to Ice Rock Cave instead. Maybe just not familiar too much with the timings. It's not honestly that much slower overall to just walk over there and pick it up, but it's always possible. Maybe some runners, you know, they tend to forget about Ice Rock Cave even with the flu, and you know, maybe that's burned her in the past, so she'll just go ahead and knock it out instead of risking, you know, potentially just forgetting about it later on.
Good, it's a good decision. I mean, better safe than sorry on all that. You never know. This could be the gloves to give him Dark World access.
fylion having a little bit trouble in that dark room. Trying to line up those shots on the Igors, but like I said, it's a little bit difficult to do so, especially with the Popos that are blocking them. Does get it. Gonna go ahead and get that small key. I mean, it is a free small key. You don't want to just leave it alone, essentially, because, you know, having that extra small key later on could make quite a big difference if you don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, if this ends up becoming a poverty seed, that key could make a lot of difference. Cadenza making use of that 80 tree pull again.
And making a lot of usage out of it, actually. Definitely abusing it. Get a little bit of money there. You never know, you know, if the seed could dry up later on that you just find yourself short of money and you need to go for those go for those tree pulls.
He's gonna go for the quick kill here. And nicely done.
Cadenza making usage of, that red boomerang, the only, real usage in a hard mode seed, just to pick up the red rupee from far away, since no enemies can be stunned with the boomerangs in hard mode. Only the hook shot can do those stuns.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, fylion coming inside to see his quack dealer. So Cadenza farmed up to 500, but Zora's still technically out of logic.
And it's a really kind of risky play. Do you want to spend those early 500 rupees for, just whatever Zora could have? Even when it's out of logic, it's something kind of have to weigh, where you are at in the seed, and if it is valuable to, spend that quite extensive amount of money.
Alright, here's our first look at 6. Let's see what's on the ledge. Hey, container.
Yeah, that's a heart container I'm easily going back for. It's right there. It doesn't take that long to pick up, and, being only at 6 hearts, still kind of scary to be at, even with that blue mail.
Alright, so let's see what's going on here. Now, the good news is, retro mode, we don't need to worry about the key not being able to access the right side of this dungeon, but a big key on the torch could still put all kinds of interesting logic that we're going to have to try to puzzle out.
Finally, I'm going to go over to the left side potentially first, or Cadenza will, like I said, go over to the right, pick up those items over there. If you can get everything on the left side, I don't know if he'll go for that heart container if he's setting this up.
It's boots
He
locked.
may just... Yep, there it is. Which is kind of fine. I mean, it's not necessary to have to clear out this dungeon right away. You have really fast access to it, especially when you're looking at like Meyer at the same time if you have Mirror. So you can easily get back to here really fast.
Yeah, if they end up coming back here after Meyer having the mirror, it's not so bad. It's just that now it's another piece of logic that we need to keep a little bit of an eye on later. We know the boots are not 100% required. Sometimes they are, most times they aren't, but this is one of those. So
and
now they're gonna
routing does it a little bit easier here. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say they're just doing a quick change of places. Fylion gonna come check right side while Cadenza picks up the heart container. And at this point, it looks like it's Agana.
Yeah, Agana, we do have one item in Aghanim's tower within logic. The first chest is not in a dark room, so that could be just something there as well. Not necessarily a situation you want to find yourself in, just going up there for one item, but we'll see if Agana, bails us out right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a way to crack the seal on Aghanim's tower yet.
Oh yeah, that is true. You do need that Master Sword or potentially that Magic Cape as well. So, where do we go from here? What if it's like you have to find another Tikini cave?
No, it's.
Oh, bat. Yeah, you're true. That is correct.
Because the bat is in logic because the powder was from inside of Spectacle.
Finally, on remembering to wait, I need to probably pick up some extra bombs here, especially after kind of leaving Agina behind. Unfortunately, it'll pay off for him since we know this progression has to be here at bat. But nonetheless, he might go ahead and pick that up much later on.
All right, there's a gloves, there's a lamp, boots. Boots kind of be useless, but well, no.
I'm thinking most likely it will either be a mirror or hook shot to get over to that right side of Death Mountain.
Let's have gloves. Let's just go straight to hype.
Oh, well, gloves. There we go.
Yep, so that's going to open up almost all of the Dark World, or at least the lower Dark World for fylion.
And it looks like, yeah, he's going to go ahead and take that entrance over into Village of Outcast. Just go ahead and probably work his way down over to that south area. It's always kind of interesting to see how runners approach Dark World when they first get access to it. You know, do you take the risk that, you know, Mitts or Mirror are potentially in like Hype Cave and, you know, be able to work your way up, or do you just take the safer route, come up to Village of Outcasts, and kind of do a little bit of, you know, backtracking later on?
Personally, I would probably go straight into Skullwoods, check all the front chests in there, maybe the Big Key Vanilla, and then come down to Village of Outcasts. I feel like you need to do a lot of your retro routing, like you do your key sanity routing, and just remembering that places have a ton more value chests than they normally do.
Yeah, I think it's one or two extra items on top of the two normally in Randomizer for Skullwoods. I can't quite remember for sure, but you know, one kind of nice part about Skullwoods is that guaranteed small key in the room to the right of fylion right now. You know, even if you have a lot of keys, it looks like, yeah, this is what he's gonna do. He's gonna go ahead and go up to this one first and route his way downwards to save a key instead of, you know, spending an extra one.
And that's a nice rod.
Yeah, did he get kind of chilly in here?
Yeah, a little bit. And I don't think it's a nor'easter this time.
Well, it is winter time, so you know, maybe that's kind of spilling over into our seeds now. So Cadenza looks like maybe trying to kind of figure out where to go right now. She pulls out that hammer, but she doesn't have the glove to pick up the rock to get into Dark World, and she's gonna find out very soon. But with that flute, I imagine she'll probably head up to Death Mountain.
No, she picked it. Yeah, she picked up her.
She picked up the glove?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have missed that. I was so excited by that ice rod. I didn't see her go up there. But yeah, there we go. Here we got the north side Dark World versus the dark side. But as I was talking about, there's that mirror that shows up. Let's see if we get any other goods in Hype Cave. And that magic cape too. So definitely, you know, finding the mirror here really valuable, because that means you can just mirror outside of at those over by the archery game outside of Village of Outcasts and just walk your way up.
Yeah, we'll also be able to check the cave south of Grove as well as the Stumpy check over here. Phylion's about to see how valuable that cape really is. Not very.
On the contrary, I think that blue rupee is pretty valuable. I don't know if either runner will pick it up, but I see that blue rupee, I get a little excited. But yeah, Magic Ape, not really going to help us out too much for that. It could still be our access over to Aghanim's tower, since, you know, that is in logic for that first chest. So we'll find out at some point in this seed, since it is in all dungeons.
So fylion after exiting Skullwoods is going to come down here. I really hope he checks all of these 3 locations first, because I'm really I've said it time and time again, always check these before you go in. I've seen too many sword upgrades missed.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. You know, if you're not already at, you know, Master Sword, you know, Hammer, or anything that could just make Thieves Town, you know, pretty simple, you know, you do want to go ahead and pick up those items. But he's just going to pick up the front 2 and then head right into Thieves Town. Maybe, you know, you got the hammer, you have the sword, which, you know, really is just all you really need for blind. But we find a hook shot in that first chest.
Yeah, so definitely. The boss fight's not really so hard. You can always just stay on script with it. And an 8 bombs as the stun pack prize.
Yeah, it's kind of not really important right now to see, you know, all those bombs. You know, I doubt they'll ever run in a situation where they're running out of bombs now, that we kind of got past that early game. But, you know, in a bind, it's definitely nice to know that.
Yeah, the only time I could ever see that is maybe on Vitreous if you don't want to spend a ton of money. Or if you don't already have, like, Master Sword at that point.
fylion, you know, with this being all dungeons, I don't think we've gotten a map check just yet for Dark World, so we don't know where that last pendant is going to be, but, you know, that's really unimportant. You can full clear it. You don't really need multiple sword upgrades to get through it any faster with that hammer. So you just go ahead, and it's probably one of the safest plays you can make in Randomizer.
Yeah.
One thing to point out, though, you know, with this being retro, it's actually a little bit more convenient to go ahead straight into the segment he is without walking up to that small key. You know, since you already have, you know, small keys at your disposal, you can just grab that while going over to that blind fight. You know, kind of a piece of knowledge specific to this mode more so than anything.
Yeah, you can just hold off on that, pick it up when you pick the heart up before the blind fight. Wow, thanks,
hey,
game.
Well, now we know the Quake that they picked up is actually on Sahashala. Who would have guessed? Although granted, you know, that Quake is currently out of logic due to not having the lamp to clear Eastern Palace. If this was, you know, a runner possibly just following the logic as close as they can, then that could be a little bit more useful later on. But, you know, for this current race at least, that's just essentially a joke hint for us.
Yeah, pretty much. The lamp is really, it's one of those things that most runners don't need, but it's a piece of logic that is going to be important, especially in all dungeons where Aghanim's Tower comes into play.
So fylion has to be a little cautious here. He'll pick up a couple extra small hearts in Blind Cell, as well as the one, I don't think he picked it up when he grabbed that small key. But 4.5 hearts, you know, assuming he doesn't get hit anymore with Blue Mail, while it's a pretty comfortable start to the fight, it's still one you can't just do without even thinking. And like that, yeah, he does take another hit. He has that one red Zazak just straight up shooting those fireballs down over into the cell while he tries to pass.
Looks like he's gonna powder the anti-fairies here for the extra heart.
Yeah, despite having, you know, despite hard mode only making it, you know, a single heart, you know, that's essentially one or two more hits off blind, depending on, you know, if he does get hit. So it's, you know, adds to making that fight a little bit more safer.
As long as he stays on script, it should be okay.
Yeah, Phylion's definitely a real experienced runner. I'm sure, blind is one of those fights that you learn to do right off the bat with the sword as he goes into that fight. Unfortunately, Cadenza taking a death there. I didn't see quite what she got hit by.
She got pinned against a couple of the jelly, or the floating jellies in the hellway.
Yeah, there we go. Fylion making quick work of blind. Does get taken down to 1.5 hearts, but at that point in phase 3, you can just go as hard as you want to kill him.
And we get $50 in a crystal.
Yeah, this hellway is not easy to get past without boots. And then, and she does have the cape, could use it since you don't really need it for anything else, but she could be trying to hold on to that magic for blind just as a backup.
Yeah, it's a nice oh crap strat to have that cape, which will, even with the double magic use, will buy you a good 5, 6, 7 seconds to kill him.
So we want to be looking over at Fylion shortly for where he goes next, since that'll be our newest progression. You'll go over to Hype Cave, grab that mirror, and then, I have to think, probably going to head up to Tower Hera next. You can get everything on the Light World Death Mountain, and hopefully going to find those mitts up there so you can pick up everything in the Dark Death Mountain as well.
Yeah, I can't help but think we'll get a pyramid check, and then we'll probably, well, with the mirror intact, maybe we'll get Zora as well? Well, no, Zora and Retro, no. Silly me.
It could be, though, it is definitely kind of a risky play, but if it pays off, having, possibly mitts or something else there, you might want to, take that risk. It just depends on how Fylion feels about his opponent. If you know that you're, better as far as, better execution-wise, sometimes you'll just play, this more standard route and just rely on your own gameplay. But, if you're feeling that maybe you're a little bit outclassed, you take that gamble that you don't think your opponent's going to take and, potentially get really well rewarded for it.
Yeah, it's just like you always say, it's any given seed, you never know where you're going to find that one piece. Looks like Phylion's going to get us our swamp pin at least. Alright, what do we got?
Not a bad hint to find, though. Unless he's really hurting for money, we're not going to see the left side of Meyer anytime soon.
Now, one extra thing about that is that said cache in a map, right?
That's correct.
We also got a hint that there are bombs in Meyer, or was it bombos? I think it said some bombs.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was the desert hint.
I think given that this is not Key Sandy and Retro, most likely you're just going to go ahead and full clear everything. You don't want to take that risk that, if you find bombs somewhere, or you don't find bombs somewhere that, maybe Vitreous holds though instead. So it's not going to do too much for us, especially because there could be multiple instances of bombs in Meyer, but I don't know, we'll see. At the very least, we know he won't go left side.
Yeah, it won't go left side, and it's just serving to give more information to de-incentivize going to Meyer, since you now know that 3 of the chests are trash.
So Cadenza finishes her blind fight, gonna head over to Bumper Cave, see those blue rupees. I don't expect her to pick them up, but most likely gonna head over into Skull Woods afterwards.
that was the blue boomerang.
Right. That's definitely something we're not going to see picked up. You know, even if this wasn't hard mode, you got the red boomerang already. You got the hook shot. We're not going to be seeing the superior boomerang in any point in this race. There you go. Finally on making his way over to Pyramid, just like you said. But, you know, after that, you know, what does he do? Does he make that play up to Zora, or does he do that save and quit? Or just go somewhere else?
He's going to... I don't know. I think he was thinking maybe the bonk rocks, then forgot he didn't have boots, maybe, or...
Yeah, he picked up Stumpy already. Oh, I forgot. He just picked up the mirror, so he's going to go back to Mirror Ledge, pick up this item, and save and quit.
Yeah, okay.
Alright, and there's that Death Mountain play that I figured he would do. Cadenza probably going to go ahead and do something similar right now. As soon as we'll see if she decides to go to the back to that vanilla big key locations in Skullwoods. And she does. Skullwoods always, I feel like, loves to hide something back here, especially more often than not. I don't know if this is a logic thing or maybe just confirmation bias. But I often see the flippers back here, which, you know, could be a good time for them to show up.
I don't think it's so much confirmation bias. Well, maybe a little bit, but I almost always feel like the flippers, if they show up in Dark World, show up inside a skull.
So our second medallion, Bomba's found over in Paradox Cave on the, I don't know, is it the lower part? The higher part?
One of the parts.
One of them. And I really want to know how that Moldorum got stuck all the way back there by those two chests. But regardless, you know, we get the Bombos, we get a Master Sword too, which will be really nice for checking that Ether tablet over by Hera, which I expect to be finally on next play.
Yeah, we also get the bottle for the next time we run through CAC.
Fylion opting to do Spiral Cave first before heading over to Hera. Probably going to pull out a save and quit at the end of this and just mirror up there the normal route instead of just doing that little bit of backtracking after clearing out Hera.
Yeah, I'd probably just reflute to 1 and then run up the stairs real quick. Nope, just gonna prove us both wrong.
Oh, he's gonna go ahead and check this. I think that could have been a Tikini cave, but at this point, I don't know. I'm not really looking for anything extra. You have a good amount of hearts. You have Master Sword already. You know, definitely getting like Temper Sword would be a little bit nice, but I don't think it's vital at this point, you know, to take extra time looking for it.
Yeah, either finding Temper or Silver Slaters is going to be important, but that's still a ways off. We got a lot of dungeons to clear.
Fylion makes his way over to Hera. Going to be our second pendant dungeon after he picks up this ether tablet check. Unfortunately, not going to help us get into Ganon's tower, but definitely, you know, when it gets to that end game where we want to do damage to Ganon, we're going to need everything cleared out. And wow, that's
mitts falling from the sky.
The goddesses have blessed Fylion today with that additional set of progression.
Ooh, could this be fire locked?
Well, the basement will be fire locked, but given it's retro, we could just go. Actually, no, you're right. We do need the big key.
Luckily,
Sandy,
no.
this is retro.
And there is a unique item in the Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, that may be one of the first times I've actually seen that Pyramid Fairy hint having something of value. You know, almost every time I see it, it's just like, you know, some cash and some arrows or a red bomb. I'm like, okay, we'll roll that out, but you know, we don't still yet know what our 5 and 6 crystals are, since neither runners have done that Dark World check. Yet another hint that we already know, you know, that the old man was giving that piece of heart, but technically one that is still out of logic since we don't have that lamp.
Yeah, finally I'm also going to go ahead and play it safe here, take the vanilla strategy to get the big chest.
I don't blame him for that. You know, if you're doing like NMG runs, definitely it's real valuable to go ahead and just, you know, do that bomb jump. But, you know, given that it's randomizer, not terribly important to do these small time saves. It's a little bit better just to go ahead and fall down from the top.
Yeah, especially ones that have the potential to cost so much time like that.
Alright, feeling I'm going to use those hammer strats to take down Moldorm in 3 hits. Should be a pretty clean fight for him. And yep, there it is.
Couple of misses, but pretty smooth takedown.
See, this is where that, you know, doing that spiral cave early is going to, you know, be a little bit nicer for him. So instead of having to go all the way through that, he can just jump straight down to those rocks. But I think more than likely he'll go to the top of Turtle Rock, get, you know, possibly get it open due to us having having those 2 medallions. But as I say that, he's going to do that spike cave play instead.
Yeah, still needs to pick up the shroom on top of Spectacle as well.
So for those of you who don't know, you know, in hard mode, technically, you know, your magic usage is doubled for the magic cape. And you don't have that invulnerability from Burna, but given that this room is pretty much nearly impossible to get through without a lot of bottles, it is made so that you can just do it with the normal usage.
Yeah, magic usage for both the cape and the cane are normal in there, as well as the cane actually does provide invincibility in there as well. So finally I don't think he picked up that mushroom, and I'm 99% sure Cadenza got that off the top of Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, that may hurt later on. You know, having the flute, you know, really makes that an extremely fast check, and then also having that bottle too. You know, you want to probably pick up like a red potion at the very least. So we're not going to see that witch play, you know, anytime soon on Phylion's side. But Cadenza also making that spike cave check. You know, it's really nice to just get it out of the way, because it can become really, really, really isolated if you leave it alone, you know, as we go through the seed.
Yeah, especially the way they're getting to do the routing on Death Mountain here, it would be completely isolated by itself, because as it stands, they're going to have only Turtle Rock remaining up here. Fire Rod.
So if we find the King of Samaria and Hookshot Cave, do you make that play in a Turtle Rock right now, or do you wait for a little bit more safeties?
No, you 100% make that play.
So with the bow already being found not in Turtle Rock, I'm betting that we're probably going to find flippers in Turtle Rock.
It depends. We still need the cane to find it, but we do have ice access now. Well, we had it before, but now we have it even more. And we do have the back of skull now.
Well, we still need the flippers to technically get into Ice Palace, but whatever, it's fake flippers. It's the easiest glitch to do in this game.
Yeah, so fylion finds out the Turtle Rock is Bombos. We're gonna crack it and get a hint, and never mind. I'm a liar.
I mean, I agree with you though. If I was in that situation, I'd at least go ahead and open it up, check that hint. You never know, some of these hints can make or break your routing, and hey, just taking those extra 20 seconds to get in there could really pay off.
I think that was Bombos too.
He checked it so fast, I didn't get a chance to see it. Let's see if we catch it on the restream. Yep, that was Bombos. So right now, both runners kind of in the same spot. Cadenza has a couple extra checks, doing the back of Skullwoods already. But fylion just kind of pulling ahead with trying to not do some of these other checks that are a little bit more time consuming.
fylion taking his time out for the 300 pack, wants all of those arrows. Cadenza's coming back to check the basement of Hera?
Now that is an interesting play. You get the fire rod, and Hera basement is it's still another location, but it's one that takes quite a lot of time to get to. Generally, I like to put it off just because there is a hint, most of the time that says what's under there. But hey, if there is something important, then get it right now.
So Cadenza takes a coffee break. Phylion's going to go ahead and come back into the Dark World. With the mitts in tow, probably going to start completing a lot of these side quests. Your Hyrule Uber chain with delivering a purple chest and delivering a Jeremiah the Bullfrog. Or I'm a liar again. He's going to go back to the Skullwoods.
Yeah, Skullwood's definitely the real nice play to do right now. You got that fire rod. You can full clear everything in here. And it's all dungeons too, so there's absolutely no risk coming in here if you know that you can clear out a Mothula with what you have. Fortunately, nothing too valuable in the Hera basement. Either was blue rupee or some arrows, but regardless, definitely not something you want to see after investing all that time in the tile room.
Yeah, half an arrow for like a good 45 seconds, not worth. And we see that this is our last pendant, but what was the crystals? Pod and Turtle Rock are 5 and 6.
So that is really interesting. We got that hint that there is a unique item in Pyramid Fairy. And, you know, we know it can't be Lamp. Could potentially be Flippers if we find Kena Samaria pretty soon.
You know what? I think we're gonna get a blind pedestal soon.
Oh wow, yeah, you're right. This is actually perfect setup for a pedestal. I don't know if was it fylion that checked the map, or was it Cadenza?
It was fylion. Well, they would have already known from being in here the first time hearing the music.
True. So maybe he just had it marked from, you know, that music knowledge. But wow, that's some real efficient routing on Phylion's side. Rich kid also giving away his 300 rupee savings. Cadenza, I think she needs to, you know, set up a savings account now with 1,400 rupees. That's among the most I've ever seen in a race before, even in retro.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. But if there's one time you want all the rupees in the world, it's retro.
And having a little bit of trouble. Mothula just wanting to hang out at the top of the room. That's the worst place to be because you cannot get any hits when he's next to those when she's next to the spikes, but does manage to get that spin off in the corner. He's gonna get his third pendant, and chat's favorite moment coming up, that blind pedestal pull. What's it gonna be?
Please be Flippers.
What do you guys think? You know, give us a little feedback. What do you guys want to see on the pedestal?
Here we goes. Flippers. Come on, something. 1 rupee!
Wow. What a disappointing, you know, anticlimactic ped pull. I don't know if that's just like commentator's curse, just like hyping it up a little bit, but a single rupee on the pedestal, you know, hey, you're the hero of Hyrule. You've cleared out these terrifying dungeons, you know, killed these horrible monsters, and your reward is 1 rupee. I think our runners need to look for a job change at this point.
Yeah, I think they're going to need a raise from the pedestal on that. So Phylion's going to head around, burn 110 rupees here at minimum, and open up pod and just sequence break the dark rooms, no problem.
Cadenza also finishing off her Mothula fight with that, also with that spin in the same corner too. So she'll be picking up her final pendant. Gonna get that very exciting ped pull coming up shortly.
Yeah, I hope we get another blind pull of a single rupee, please.
I agree. I mean, you do it for the fame, not for what's on pedestal. So 4 keys for Fylion in pod. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you need a total of 6 to fully clear it. 5 with the bomb jump, but he is only at 3 right now. Already used 1, so he's kind of like pick and choose.
He's used 2. He cracked the front door.
Oh yeah, that is true, because you need 2 to get to that vanilla big key.
So he's okay as long as he either finds 1 or hammer yums.
Yeah, and that hammer jump, you know, it's generally you don't see it a whole lot in traditional randomizer because, you know, you're not always guaranteed to have the big key. Usually shows up in that dark room quite more frequently than not, but definitely in retro where keys are very important, you're gonna want to go ahead and do that bomb jump. Cadenza picks up her mushroom, unfortunately just a piece of heart, so as of right now, fylion, probably not going to be looking for that anytime soon, but if we get to a point where progression is bottlenecked by something, mostly that Kina Samaria, may see him go back up the Death Mountain.
Yeah, we're looking for we still need the flippers, the boots, the cane. I think that's about it, along with all the keys we're going to have to buy. And logically, the lamp. Oh, there's the flips.
So in logic flippers now, is there a lamp in a swamp or ice palace possibly?
Could have been in Waterfall Fairy the whole time.
Cadenza only sitting at 3 keys, but makes that smart play to know that she's going to need a little bit more going into pod. So I'm going to spend a little bit of that fat rupee stash to get some few extras. So big key found right there. That's going to be real nice if fylion ends up doing this hammer jump.
Looks like it's the way he's going to head.
So pixel perfect here. A lot of runners do different setups. I personally use the Shadow of Link sprite to set it up. But if you are a little bit off, you'll just go ahead and get knocked straight into it. But I think he does have it. Oh no. I don't know if it was Link was in the wrong spot. It looked like he got the bomb placed right, but I think he kind of got a little bit out of position.
Yeah, he was a pixel too high at first, and then a pixel too low. So what you're going to see here, if you've never seen the bomb yet before, it's all about you have to get the bomb in the proper place, which you'll see the drop here in a second. So just lines it up. And now here's the key. You need to put it so that the bottom of the Y frame window only shows the shadow. You don't want to see any of the blue of the bomb. If that's lined up, then you're going to get knocked over and be able to hold up on the controller and go right in there.
Gets a nice extra key for his troubles. So if he had done this normally, he would have been able to full clear the dungeon, but it's getting that small key for later on, having it saved, is much nicer peace of mind.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Cadenza's coming in here loaded for bear at 10 keys.
Yeah, she's ready to go. See a locked door, you're just going straight through it. Both runners, definitely kind of going the same way. The seed is not really giving them a lot as far as progression goes without, going to one location. So, after this, it's a question of, Ice Palace or Swamp Palace.
I would probably realistically go Swamp just for the cluster of items it has. I'd really want to get these flipper locked light world locations out of the way though, because I would be probably about 80-85% that that's where the lamp is, and maybe another piece of progression.
Plus, the chance that Kina Samaria is in ice palace as well will make you'll be able to use it, at the bottom on that switch, a little bit nicer instead of having to do it the vanilla route if they end up not doing that bomb jump.
Yeah, I think that at the very minimum they'll do the bomb jump because the vanilla route is just terrible. Yeah, flippers were in the arena chest on the bridge.
And there's that nice benefit of having the fire rod and not the lamp, being able to light the torches for that, for the turtle room, makes it entirely easier instead of trying to figure out exactly where they're at.
Yeah, trying to do that room in the blind dark is difficult. I've had to do it a few times myself.
Alright, phase 1 done pretty easily. Looks like fylion, he's being a real conservative with his rupee count. Opts not to do the bow, but with the Master Sword, doesn't take too many swings to clear him out. And we have our second crystal and 5th dungeon complete.
Yeah, fylion making good time here, picking up one of the 5-6 crystals. Has direct access to beat still to complete desert, do all of Ice Palace, do all of Swamp Palace. At this point, it's really just the cane that's eluding us, and can't do the desert because we need the boots, right?
Yeah, I would think, right now, possibly, yeah, he's gonna pick up some extra keys, but if he were to go to Swamp Palace, you only need one key there to get through, since, the rest of the keys can be found. If he opts to go ahead and flood that key in the left side, that does give him, that does take out one key, but, given that it's retro, you don't really need to pick it up.
Yeah, the key for the left side of Swamp, if we decide to go that direction, I think it's one of those things where it's worth the time save to just flood it.
Well, in Cadenza's case, given that pod is like the one that takes all your keys, definitely she'll go ahead and flood it later on.
Cadenza gonna set up her bomb jump as well.
Looks like she got it. Yep,
yeah, that was a nice setup.
Definitely after a little bit of practice, even if you don't know exactly if your pixel's right, you can tell by Link's position whether or not you got it before you get knocked over.
Phylion's gonna start coming in here, probably pick up water checks, or is just gonna go straight in ice.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. We'll probably see that bomb jump. Don't need Canis and Maria for that.
Not to mention,
get this all cleared out.
Yeah, plus you got 3 hints, including a shovel and turtle rock. Thanks.
Well, there is that unique item that always seems to be found in Turtle Rock, the legendary shovel.
Yeah, shovel's one of those things you don't want to see a hint about, especially a recent one I calmed where it was a master shovel.
Although I have to say, I wonder if that does make Turtle Rock a little bit more valuable. We already know that there is a unique item at the Big Bomb, and coupled with the shovel, that's 2 locations that could have something.
Yeah, now that we just found the bug net, the pool of unique items is going way down. Except one thing to keep in mind is that because of the way the hints are done, they have to apply to all possible logics, which means that the unique item inside of the Pyramid Fairy, or any of these unique items, is one of them is gonna be a blue rupee because it's the single arrow.
Well, if there's any Zelda 1 runners, in chat looking to get into it, there you go. Aim at the eyes of Goma. That will certainly help your playthrough of Zelda 1. Nice bomb jump by fylion as well. Gets it in one go. So he's gonna... One nice part about Retro is that you don't have to worry about finding that small key in the first chest to just go straight over to the right side after this penguin room. And it makes Ice Palace routing actually really simple overall.
Yeah, being able to come over here and do this right side and the U and the H is just really super convenient. It's one of those things where you almost never want to have to go through the bottom as little as possible. Maybe just drop down the iced tea and then come right back up.
Meanwhile, Cadenza in her phase 2 fight, she's a little low on health, but it doesn't matter as she does get that final hit into Helmasaur King. Gonna pick up also her second crystal and her 5th dungeon cleared overall. So here we might see a little bit of divergence. It's possible she may decide to go over the swamp before doing Ice Palace, but we'll see shortly.
Yeah, Swamp and Ice are their only 2 full clearables at this moment. There's a little bit of Overworld still opened up that they can go check. I'm trying to think of the ones that they haven't checked that they don't have hints for. I think it's just the Waterlock stuff, Hobo, Zora Ledge, Zora, and Waterfall Fairy.
And if we want to go that far too, we have not seen a hint just yet for left side swamp, which looks like that's where Cadenza is heading.
Yeah, this looks 100% like the swamp play. And we're about to get our 3rd hint in ice.
Ooh.
Oh! The boots are in Castle Tower.
What a great hint to pick up, because we already know that we need the boots to finish Desert Palace, but
that is
that is real,
but a terrifying hint, because that's been open this entire time, and that my thought would initially be, oh my god, my opponent's had the boots forever.
And that just comes down to, how well do you know your opponent? We've seen both our runners go through those dark rooms, but the dark rooms in Aghanim's Tower are an entirely different story, since it's not one you generally ever do. So if those boots are not in that first chest, then you're going to have to go into that maze without really any help.
True, but the maze is not super bad. It's all the rooms after the maze that really make the dark climb the difficulty it is. Oh, first chest in Swamp, Sakana Samaria.
Well, I think that's no mode at this point. If we're not worried about silvers, we know where King of Samaria is at. We know where the boots are at. Sure that we probably are not going to spend a lot of time looking for that lamp, but we're good to go.
Yeah, that's pretty much no mode. We're going to be in go mode as soon as one of them hits the other location now.
That will put fylion in a real great spot. I think first he'll go over to Aghanim's Tower and get those boots. Clear out Desert afterwards, then Swamp would be the next kind of obvious play, and then given that it's right there in front, you're not having to you're not having to go to the left side, you can just go straight through this dungeon as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you're basically going to be able to go mode this as once he finds that. That's just the perfect place I could have been.
Meanwhile, fylion makes real nice work of that Master Sword Cold Stare fight. Gonna get that blue rupee for his trouble, but most importantly, gonna get his 3rd crystal of the game. So this seed is actually shaping up really well for them. Not going to have to spend a lot of time looking for these hidden items because they're all kind of, in perfect spots for them.
Yeah, the longest out of the way they've really going to have left is finding the big key in Turtle Rock.
So interesting play here by Cadenza. She's going to ignore the left side, which, we know that there's nothing over there with the exception of possibly another sword upgrade or silvers. But, if she opts to ignore that, go into Ice Palace afterwards, then she'll know exactly where those boots are located. Meanwhile, fylion actually going to spend a little bit extra time looking for items before going into the swamp. Obviously he doesn't know that Canis Maria is there just yet, but once he does make that play, we'll see if he starts trying to go mode a bunch of dungeons or if he's just gonna spend a little bit extra time looking for that sword upgrade.
Yeah, I feel like he'll just clear everything in the way, and that's about it. So if it's right there or just a little out of the beaten path, maybe, but we're not gonna go more than maybe one screen transition. So fylion is going to make this play, and we're going to find out if the boots are right there the whole time or if they're buried in the dark.
Now, fortunately, the boots were kind of available later on because, we need to find the Master Sword in Death Mountain or the Cape in Hype Cave first to actually get in here. So at least you have a little bit of comfort in that, your opponent couldn't get it right off the bat. fylion actually opting to do that spin, not using that fire rod to get those quick kills. This is kind of where that NMG experience can kind of backfire a bit because you're so used to just doing this with the Master Sword that you forget you have these other options available to you.
Yeah, so fylion is going to come in here into the dark.
Trying to find that torch. Oh, there it is. Got it. And he's gonna pick up his boots right here. And might as well go ahead and just clear this out. Most runners will keep the dark room layouts open on another monitor just in case you run into these situations where you're not entirely familiar with the rooms.
Yeah, so what's happening here is he's in the first room he's going to walk through. He's going to come into the dark pit. If you enter this room, go down about 1 pixel in Fire Rod, you hit that torch right there. Now in this room, he needs to go down and kill this guard, of course. And we can actually see because he's still got the other torch lit. And that's another thing. With all the torches available, you can hit one and keep the whole floor lit.
Well, now we know we are the hero of Hyrule, so that combined with that green rupee pedestal pull, I'm not sure we really want to be one.
Alright, so the Cadenza finished off Argus and is going to flute on out. Oh, and it's going to go to 8.
Oh, this is a great... Yeah, this is exactly where Cadenza needs to go. She'll pick up that boot hint, and then right after finishing these water checks in Ice Palace, she'll definitely go straight up to Aghanim's tower if she knows how to do those dark rooms. So this is looking actually to be a really fast seed. We're an hour and 24 minutes in. Entirely possible that we can see this being a sub 2 hours retro all dungeons, which is actually really incredible.
Yeah, that'd be kind of insane. Usually all dungeons is going to run you up by 2 by itself. And then retro or keys is going to normally put it over 2 at about 210 for most of our runners. So
what is that unique item that's going to be that pyramid, at this point, I don't think either runner will actually pick it up because, we'll find the lamp. Or if we don't find the lamp, we know it can't be locked behind Turtle Rock. So that just leaves, silvers, ether.
We know it can't be the shovel.
Yeah, we know the shovel will already be in T-Rock.
In fact,
so
the only thing it can be...
There.
Yeah, it can either be the single arrow ether or the silvers, and that's it.
Real nice Aghanim kill by fylion. So that does contribute to those all dungeons, since Aghanim Tower is considered, one of those dungeons needed to do damage to Ganon. But after this, did we? Yeah, I don't think he actually checked up here. Oh yeah, we definitely didn't check up here because that's a temper sword.
That's always nice to find, especially if it's looking like we're going to be doing this silverless.
Yeah, no reason to look for silvers at this point because Temper Sword Ganon is also pretty fast in its own right. But yeah, like I figured, he was going to go over to Desert Palace first. Unfortunately, he's going to have to kind of full clear some stuff here. Hopefully he doesn't do Mire before going into Swamp Palace, because you can always be thinking, what if it is, what if it's also in here as well? But I think fylyon's a smart enough player to know to do the dungeons that can full clear for sure before, risking something like that.
Well, and again, one thing, we got the hint that not only is the Firelock side of Mire bad, but there's also bombs in Mire, which means that we know 5 of the 8 locations are nothing. Because we know that Mire has its compass map, big key, and then it has money and bombs, which just leaves 3 other chests.
Yeah, that's going to be a very fast Mire once we eventually go in there, not having to go to that left side. I expect Mire will be the dungeon we see after Swamp Palace is complete, and at that point, fylion will be in go mode. Oh, did we have silvers on Argus? Did we miss Argus silvers?
Yeah,
oh
apparently
goodness.
We did. Wow. Chat saving us there.
I did not even see that. And also too, like the icon up top doesn't change like it would normally. Given that there is a clear distinction between using both of them, but well then, this is gonna be a really fast seed. We have a ton of money for both of them, so there's gonna be no concerns about abusing those silvers while we go through Ganon's Tower. Oh, and that's true. This is hard mode. I'm kind of still stuck on the normal retro I did earlier, so we're not going to be able to use those silvers until we actually get to the Ganon fight itself.
Down go land mode, quick fight.
There, 7th dungeon cleared for fylion. I would say, at this point, we're an hour and a half in. fylion probably have a little bit more of an advantage knowing or having those boots and just having that extra dungeon cleared.
Oh no.
But Cadenza.
No.
Oh, he's making. fylion, what are you doing? He's making the gamble.
He's gotten 2 hints that Mire's worthless.
Yeah, I can't say that I agree with this play at all whatsoever. Even if I didn't find those 2 hints, you're talking about a clearable Swamp Palace that you need to do anyways at some point, but one that you can fully clear compared to, Mire, which you're banking on that Kena Samaria to show up. Granted, obviously we have the knowledge that he doesn't, but still, from a runner perspective, it's really hard to justify this play.
Yeah, you're making the gamble here, but again, we've gotten hints that we know 2 of the items in here are junk, and then there's 3 dungeon items out of 8 possible locations. One of those inaccessible because I'm counting Vitreous itself. So there's 2 chests in here that we don't know, and one of them is a blue bottle.
Now, thankfully, it'll be a really fast check because he'll pick up. He doesn't have to go to that left side whatsoever. But my worry would be, what if he actually no, there are no fetch quest items that can show up here. There's nothing that will lead him somewhere else. It's just kind of time wasted, unfortunately. The only kind of benefit will be obviously having that big key, so you can just run straight to the end, which he does pick up right there. But yeah, there's not going to be any value in him, any value in here whatsoever.
Yeah, did he already find the bombs? Because I think that's about the last thing we have to see here.
Let's see, we found the compass, and
there are the bombs.
Meanwhile, Cadenza going down into her Cold Stare fight. Going to use those bombos to save a little bit of magic. I imagine she'll abuse that fire rod a little bit in this fight to make it a little bit more simpler. But there you go, fylion making his route over to Swamp Palace. So he'll be picking up his Kena Samaria very shortly. He'll be in go mode and in a pretty good spot overall.
Yeah, Cadenza's doing a pretty good job on this Cold Stare fight. Again, Master Sword Cold Stare, not the easiest thing in the world.
Finally remembering, oh wait, I need to go ahead and get that water out of there to be able to even get in the dungeon. Just a little bit of mishap, but not a terribly bad one.
Yeah. Everyone in chat kind of wondering where the lamp is. At this point, it's got to be in the front part of Turtle Rock, or it's in, like, Waterfall Ferry. Maybe on Zora Ledge, because nobody's even went over to the entire Zora area at all.
I'm banking on T-Rock. It has shown up there quite a lot, which, like we said earlier, the run. Actually, what's required for T-Rock? What was the medallion? Do you remember?
Bombos.
Okay, so we know that the Quake is worthless, but that would have been a Quake that, if we're looking at just picking up all the items in the seed, that's something that should have been picked up much later on.
Yep, and fylion, having picked up his Kena Samaria at about 133, is in go mode.
Now here's something interesting. Did Cadenza see the boots hint?
Yes.
Okay, so she's opting to go ahead and just go ahead and clear out this dungeon. I mean, I know that she saw the big key in Desert Palace. So I have to wonder, why would you not go get the boots first and just clear out both of these at the same time? Maybe she doesn't know those dark rooms as well, since it's not one you see very often.
Yeah, I'm wondering if a little bit of this might be playing into knowledge of the Aghanim Tower dark rooms, because again, they're not the easiest thing, and a lot of it's just about memorizing, the enemy patterns and where the lamps are you need to hit.
Now I could totally see it being justified if Desert was not required to, beat the game, because it takes a little bit of time to get up into that tower, and Boots doesn't really add as much time as you think it would, especially if you have real solid just overworld and dungeon movement. But given that we do need to find him, even though I don't know those Aga Tower rooms that well, I would still just be making that play over, because the reward is just too much.
Yeah, the boots are not only they're required, it's such movement, makes it so much faster in the overworld and everywhere.
Fylion, though, he's in a real great spot right now. As far as just comparing, where both our runners at. Go ahead and do this go mode Swamp Palace. Not necessarily go mode Mire, but given the hints, made it a real fast Mire in general.
Yeah.
And then T-Rock.
And it turned out to be a God Mire because of where the big key was.
And then I don't think Cadenza will go pick up that Temper Sword unless she ends up doing the full Aghanim Tower, which, given kind of her reluctance to get over there, I think, like I said, she's going to be looking for that lamp first.
Oh, man. She's still checking chests after the big key. She's looking for the lamp. Or at least was looking a little bit off the beaten path for maybe a sword in the lamp.
Yeah, kind of a lesson for, anyone that is, looking to kind of up their game for, Zelda Randomizer. Learning dark rooms is such an important skill because you never want to be in a situation where you have to find the lamp to get through some of these rooms, because it could be like a situation like this where it's in Turtle Rock and we had access to kill Armos right off the bat, even if it wasn't within logic.
All right, now this dark room, these dark rooms intimidate people, but this is actually a super easy dark room. You have to pick up this skull with a switch on it. After you pick it up and verbally hear you, or audibly hear you hit the switch, you do exactly that. You pick up the block, throw it straight up, it'll automatically land on it.
Yeah, I can definitely see why people, it's a little bit more intimidating at the start, but honestly, you got that method. You can use the diagonal wall there to set it up. It's so easy once you get the hang of it. Unfortunately, we're not going to see Cadenza be able to do the spooky action fire rod glitch since she doesn't have the boots, but I have to wonder if maybe Fylion will go for it.
I just love seeing it. It's something I had never really seen a lot of because it's recent, and it just blows me away every time. It's just sorcery, straight up.
I mean, even if it wasn't something that saved any time, say that it was on par with doing the normal vanilla strat, I mean, just doing it because it looks cool is enough in itself. Because part of playing games is actually having fun, believe it or not. So doing cool strats like that, it's really fun.
All right, so Cadenza coming back here. Lot of money, but we're just gonna go spin strats. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean, those silvers, do add up quite a lot, especially for Vitreous. You look at like Armos and stuff, and you think like, okay, you're gonna use a lot of money there, but Vitreous also takes quite a lot. And you never know how much you may want to use when you get up to Ganon's Tower, especially if you have to kill those ice Armos. So, just playing it a little bit safe, using only this. Well, actually, no. This is hard mode. We can't use silvers. Oh my goodness.
Yep, but 80 quick dollars to the eyeball.
Telling you, I'm just so stuck on my retro seed from earlier that I forget that you don't have silvers until you get to Ganon.
Yeah, it's not a huge thing. It's just 8 arrows in that case, normal. And like every other problem in the universe, you just throw money at it, literally.
Fylion getting a really nice phase 1 there with those Temper Sword spins. Probably one of the best I've actually seen when it comes to vanilla strats. So he'll be saving a ton of money there. Get his 5th crystal, and he'll be heading over, or sorry, 6th crystal, and he'll be heading up to T-Rock for that final dungeon.
Yeah, he's hoping for something super easy. The compass chest having the big key is the dream in retro.
Oh my goodness, right? Because you can just run straight through the entire dungeon. You don't even have to go outside for the Mimic Cave if you really don't want to.
Fylion, please flute to 3 first. Thank you. So Fylion's going to flute to 3 and pick up a last key to make sure he can get through the dungeon. And In fact, he'll probably pick up about 2 more for GT as well.
All right, Cadenza gonna go ahead and brave her dark rooms. Hopefully she has that map open up on the side to make it a little bit simpler. And she'll pick up her boots. Hopefully she knows where those torches are at. Okay, good. She is pulling out that fire rod, so it's just a matter of getting that one lit. And there it is.
And another good news, another good part about this is once Cadenza gets through here, she'll be able to get that temper sword off the pyramid as well.
Although I gotta say, at this point, you know, she's 2 dungeons behind fylion. Granted, she'll be able to do those pretty quick, but you know, fylion is in a pretty commanding lead. All right, now we're on to everyone's favorite unofficial big key guessing game. Where is the big key in Turtle Rock? Granted, I don't know how many chests are in here, so where do you guys think it's gonna be? Like, what location?
It's always behind the fire rod side on the right.
Yeah, no need to pick up that hint at this point, because we're just looking to clear this out as fast as we can. But you know, fylion, you know, playing really well this seed. You know, he definitely put aside some locations that Cadenza opted to do, and fortunately, it's paid off for him. You know, such as the mushroom, not having to turn that in, and then just his choice of going to Ice Palace first to get those hints for the boots, especially. Really helped him kind of, you know, get further and further ahead.
Yeah, he's definitely had some good routing and great execution. Hey, look, big key.
All right, well, if you guessed number 3, then you are our unofficial winner of the unofficial Turtle Rock big key guessing game. Oh, I'm sorry, that was 2. We didn't go to Compass, right?
Yeah, he skipped Compass. He went straight to the fire side. He knows what's up.
All right, well, sorry. You are not the unofficial winner of the unofficial Turtle Rock big key guessing game. But fortunately, we will have a different one coming up once we finish this dungeon, so that's the more important one.
fylion, I think, checking chests out of muscle memory here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, sure. I mean, you can't really pick up anything else. You know, Butter Sword is not going to be available on hard mode, but muscle memory definitely could play, you know, an effect into that. Just, you know, I should, even when I'm doing like my own MG runs, I'm picking up rando chests that you should never do.
Yeah, I mean, but if he was picking up keys, he would went in and got the one off the Hakubaku. Alright, now he's just gonna run on.
So unfortunately, we're not going to find out where that lamp was. I imagine it had to be in one of those chests that he skipped, maybe the compass room. But, you know, this is definitely one of the easiest dark rooms to do, you know, given that you have those fire bars to kind of guide your way through.
Cadenza picking up her tempered. Finally going to be their last weapon upgrade. Finally making a little bit of a mess of the floor, but getting to phase 2 here.
Yeah, kind of, it's not all that great to blow that blue boost in there because you want to save it for GT, but you never take that risk if you're that low. You just go ahead and burn it and just, maybe pick up the safety room over in Ganon Tower. But yeah, with that is our final crystal for fylion. You want to take over the honors for what's going on right now?
Certainly. So, we like to play the big key guessing game for Ganon's Tower here on the Speed Gaming Family channel. To enter your guess in chat 1 through 22, where is the big key located? If you happen to be a supporter of Speed Gaming through either 250 total bits or a subscription, you could be entered for a chance to be saved onto our leaderboard should you have the closest guess. Get them in quick, because once we head down to that basement, you're out of time.
Yeah, this is one of the fastest, going straight from T-Rock to Ganon Tower, but, I mean, you guys already know. You were putting in guesses before I even put the command in.
Yeah, it's always 14. Always 14. Except when it's not. Money, money, and finally I'm going man mode and opening the middle door.
Yeah, that nice benefit to being in retro. You don't need to worry about mirroring out and going around.
Alright, coming to Stalfos. 4 is a heart container. 5 is a blue rupee. 6 is a blue rupee. 7's a merp.
Oh man, I was hoping for that 7, 2 back-to-back 7 wins, but I don't know. Hopefully it's a little bit of an earlier number instead of having to go too deep in.
8's a big 20.
Meanwhile, Cadenza finishing up her desert palace. She's going to head over to T-Rock after this, but going to take a lot of oofs on fylion side if she wants to catch up, unfortunately.
Another big 20. Coming up on 10 through 13 in the rando room. Key, blue rupee. Another blue rupee. And the big key, it's in 13.
13 big key, not a bad place to actually have it. You don't have to worry about going all the way down to Isarmos and spending that money, although really wouldn't have been a big deal with the amount that fylion has.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a huge concern, but just every second counts. All right, we got Cadenza on our way up to Turtle Rock. Phylion's heading in here. Probably going to take the safety room, I'd say, just in case.
Yeah, hard mode, it's almost just like a guarantee that anyone will go in here. Just having full health and, possibly full magic if you used any, going into the gauntlet is real nice. And, especially for a retro, when you don't always have the money, being able to use the fire rod to clear out some of these rooms pretty quickly is really convenient.
Yeah. While we're going through the gauntlet here real quick, something we haven't brought up a lot, but always something to keep in mind, we do have simulcast in other languages as well, and Speaking in Francais actually has a restream of this going on in French at the moment.
Yeah, it's cool to see just how much Randomizer has expanded. In the past couple of years it's been around. My first tournament was last year, and it was a lot smaller than this. And then like this year, spring tournament, we had 500 something participants for that Swiss round. So just the fact that it's gone worldwide, and we have multiple restreams going on all day for all these matches, kind of just shows just how popular it is and just how much fun it is to play. Except when it's retro, then it's just like I don't want to play Randomizer.
Alright, Fylion coming up on the Wizrobe rooms. Cadenza is about to get the big key for TR. Fylion almost run into some magic problems there.
Misses that first spawn. Unfortunately, if you throw it a little bit too close to that conveyor belt, it'll just go ahead and get stuck on the wall. But no big deal. Just gonna run down and throw it in.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Real nice kill on Moldorm 2, getting those two quick tempered spins in. And for good measure, finally, I'm going to check that final chest. Don't know if that was intentional or just doing it for the fans back home, but we salute you, Fylion.
It was a blue rupee. My headcanon is it was the single arrow. Nice double to start with.
And a nice triple to follow that up.
Oh wow, and a perfect lineup. But all these are gonna hit too. And 2, 3, 1, down goes Agatu.
Yeah, real fast fight. I mean, that's probably one of the best setups I've ever seen for getting that quick kill. So, if Fylion does feel a little bit behind right now, that's gotta be a little bit of comfort, being able to get that quick fight. So we're gonna have a real quick Ganon. We got Temper Sword, we got Silvers. There should be nothing that Phylion's worried about right here.
Yeah, Cadenza about to come up into Trinex. As Fylion drops in for Tempered Ganon.
Does get that double spin, and really nice spot for getting a couple more spins. This should be a really easy, phase 1, phase 2. Fortunately, kind of moved all the way to the opposite corner, but nonetheless, this is kind of a situation where you'll take, you know, that extra hit just to ensure you get through phase 3 a lot faster.
Yeah, got the single spinning fire bat off, but still gets through pretty solid. Yeah, we sure did. Here they are. Let us show you. And a triple.
Nice triple kill. Gonna go ahead and clear out that Ganon fight for fylion, which means that tonight, in this all dungeon standard randomized swords hard mode retro, that's a mouthful, race, we are going to have fylion finishing in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour 56 minutes and 13 seconds. A great time for, you know, just all these settings that are thrown on. That sub 2 hours got to be real nice for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. GG for fylion. Cadenza holding a Aloft Crystal 7, but fylion's holding aloft the Triforce.
So with that, we'll see if we can get fylion in here for an interview. In the meantime, we're going to watch Cadenza enter her Ganon tower as well. Looks like she's going to go ahead and keep on doing it, you know, get that practice in for any future races.
Oh yeah, no shame in continuing on, going through here, especially when you're this close.
All right, looks like we do have fylion in the Discord. Let's go ahead and bring him up and give him a nice little chat. Welcome, fylion, and congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
So how did it feel to get all 4 silver arrows in Ganon without any of them glitching out?
I hear that's a thing that the cool kids do, but I tried not to cool today. I was pleased that I got the triple there, though I was a bit disappointed I missed Torch Glitch, but that's what happens when you don't have Lamp at the end of the race.
Yeah, kind of surprising that Lamp didn't show up, you know, but really didn't have an impact for you guys. You know, both of you did all the dark rooms without any worries, so it would have been an inconvenience, but, you know, that didn't stop you from taking this race.
Well, I mean, it almost got me at the top of Ganon's tower, and I very nearly ran out of magic, and I very nearly fell down the hole in that room, so that even though I had enough magic, I wouldn't have made it in time. I beat Wizrobe 2, I looked at my magic meter, and I did some very quick math to make sure it was even possible to beat that room. So that was a bit terrifying.
But nonetheless, you close it out, so, you know, at the end of the day, it is that win. That does matter, so that's gotta feel, you know, pretty good to go ahead and take that, especially, you know, on, you know, a very crazy setting mode like this.
Yeah, of course, the bot rolled these settings, and as soon as I saw the result, I just said, "I'm sorry, Cadenza, I should have vetoed Retro for this," because it's a nasty combo to get hard and all dungeons in Retro.
I was curious, so what were your vetoes, you know, between the two of you?
Gosh, I can't remember. I think I vetoed Swordless.
I mean, I can't blame you for that. I'd rather take Retro over Swordless, so I agree with that entirely. One thing I noticed...
Oh, looks like I vetoed Randomizer and Cadenza vetoed Uncle Assured. So we might have rolled Swordless here. I'm glad we didn't.
Pretty opposite sides of the spectrum to Randomizer versus a guaranteed sword. But nonetheless, still well played, by both of you. Sure, Cadenza is going through too, but there was a lot of skill to be shown, throughout this race. I noticed you did not pick up the mushroom in Spectacle Rock. Was that just like an oof, or are you just kind of banking on nothing being there?
Well, see, in my race earlier today, it was a big 20, and then I saw something red there today, and I mentally filed something red on Spectacle Rock as the big 20 from earlier. So I got bailed out by that.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of a big point between the two of you was Cadenza played it a little bit more safe going to a lot of these one-off locations, while you took a little bit more risk, going straight into dungeons, and really paid off, throughout this seed. You got that knowledge that the boots were in Aghanim's tower, so you didn't really have to look around for those. And then, the cane being in the first chest of swamp was also super nice for you at that point.
See, it's funny you would say that, because I felt like I wasn't doing dungeons, and that was something I was doing because I couldn't beat them. I looked at my tracker at like 54 minutes into the race when I did the ped pull, and I was like, okay, I've got a crystal, and I can't beat any other crystal dungeons in Logic, which was a really weird feeling. So I went and did pod, because you don't need a lamp for pod. But it was weird to be in that state of like, the whole world is open, but I can't really dive dungeons because I can't beat them.
Speaking of diving dungeons, you did make that play into Mire without the cane. What played into that versus, going straight into swamp that you were able to clear?
Yeah, so it was a couple things. First of all, I was already right there because I had just finished Desert. But Retro's really cool because you get to route dungeons in the way that you normally can't. You see that in Ice Palace because you always get to go to the right side first. And when you come into Mire with a key, you can go to the left side, flip the crystal switch, and then clear the right side of the dungeon. Honestly, if I thought the left side of Mire might be in play, I wouldn't have gone into the dungeon, because that's a lot of time to waste. But I had the hint that ruled it out, and so I said, you know what, running all these chests is actually fairly quick, and I'm in the area. I have to find the big key at some point anyways, so the main problem is I'm doing Mire 2 twice. I was okay with that trade-off. Because if it was Kane, that was the god play.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with your reasoning. Having that left side hint takes a lot of time out of that dungeon, and then, being right there, you're gonna have to be in there anyways, but, if Kane's not there, you're gonna get the big key anyways at some point. So when you do eventually have to come back, if it's not there, then you're just going straight to the end. So yeah, I can get behind that.
It's counterintuitive. You'd think intuitively, I know what part of the dungeon is. I know that it can't give me anything, so that makes it less valuable, but because left side Mire, left side swamp are in the hint pool because they're so obnoxious, it actually makes clearing the dungeon, and then you can mark the whole dungeon off, a lot more realistic. Because no one wants to go into swamp, clear left side, and get nothing for the effort.
Right, definitely. I find myself doing the same thing where, I'll try to put off those dungeons as long as I can, because yeah, those hints do show up, pretty frequently, which is a blessing because you never want to have to go to left side and not find anything there.
I mean, if Kane hadn't been in such a nice spot in swamp, I probably would have ended up doing left side swamp, but we were running out of spots it could be. We were pretty much down to swamp or Zora area for me.
Yeah, I don't think either of you actually went to Zora. It was just the logic kind of led you to the dungeons once you found those required items, and it's just a matter of dungeon to dungeon.
Yeah, and I said that about the head being, sorry, 54 minutes in I could only get one crystal, which was weird, but it was kind of nice just having the pet unlocked so early in an all dungeon seed. Like Like, that's one of the earliest times I've ever pulled PED, and I just said, okay, well, it's available. I'm doing this stuff no matter what. What if it works?
And you just got a green rupee.
Like, I want to say that was the clutch rupee, but we got so many 300s just dropped into our path. It really made the seed less painful. I was so thankful for them.
Yeah, I think Cadenza hit like 1,400 rupees at some point, which is absurd even for a retro mode. So it's nice being able to just take out that whole element essentially and just, you know, buy all the keys you want. And then given that it's hard mode, you don't have to worry about, you know, using that silver money because you can't even use it until Ganon. So definitely, you know, despite this being retro mode, it still worked out, you know, really nice for both of you.
Yeah, and you know, we got the easy shop for buying keys, which was nice. We got the very easy take any cave. It was like the 4th door I walked into. And then there were like a couple other doors I checked just because I wouldn't turn down a free heart container. But for retro stuff, this kind of removed a lot of the annoyances. Like, you don't want to be hunting long for a sword, especially in, say, a lampless Ganon fight. You don't want to be trying to Master Sword Silverless that.
Yeah, having that tempered show up right after Aga 2 was really comforting, especially because both of you had a few more dungeons to do. So not having to think about finding a sword in GT or even Turtle Rock, you know, just whatever. It's temper sword silver. That's like the best you can get without finding butter for any other mode.
Yeah, and you know, as you saw, I'm comfortable doing Agatow or any other dark rooms. It was just a case of I kind of put them off because if the lamp shows up, I know I do it faster. So when there was other stuff I had to do no matter what, I figured, okay, I might as well just not worry yet. The boots hint changed all of that. The boots hint made me say, I'm not waiting for lamp. Boots are going to save me more time.
Yeah, it just, as soon as I saw that hint, it's like, all right, it's definitely going to be an Aga play, lamp or not, because, you know, first off, you need the boots for Desert Palace, and then second, you just speed up the seed. Would you have, so say this was like a standard and just normal defeat Ganon, would you have taken that time to grab the boots, or would you just gone through entirely without the boots?
I mean, they were required for Desert, obviously. Were they not required for Desert, I would not have messed around with it. Because, like, they save you time, but it's a fair amount of time to get there, especially when they might be in the second chest. And it's not like there was anything I really needed to do. You know, there's the 4% chance you're going to need the boots. I'm not dipping into Aga Tower for that 4% chance.
Yeah, very, very true. And definitely knowing the numbers kind of, you know, helps your decision making. But with that, we also do have Cadenza finishing her retro seed at official SRL time of 2 hours, 8 minutes and 26 seconds. Also a really nice time for, you know, all these settings.
Yo, GG's to Cadenza.
Yeah, Cadenza put together a really nice Ganon fight there, especially that phase 2 with 6 quick spins.
If we can see if we can pull her in here for an interview as well. But you know, in the meantime, you know, do you have any other matches coming up soon that we need to be looking out for, fylion, or are we almost done?
I've got 5 more over the next 2.5 weeks. I've scheduled none of them so far. I'm also sitting at a record of 3 and 7, so these are 4 fun matches at this point. We'll see what settings get rolled, and you know, I'm still going to give it my all, but it's kind of nice having the stress of, oh, will I make it to groups off my back? It's been off my back for a week now, so.
Yeah, no, I could definitely agree with that. Just knowing that you're just essentially doing a showcase and not necessarily looking for that bracket advancement. Really kind of helps your peace of mind, especially like going into the final, you know, minutes of a race where you don't know where your opponent's at, and you know, if your opponent, you know, finishing right there means that you're not getting in a bracket, it can get pretty stressful.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I don't see Cadenza coming into Discord yet. Maybe stepped away from the computer to get rid of the stench of retro mode. But nonetheless, I just want to extend my congratulations for taking that win. It was a very entertaining race for both us as well as chat. And just want to thank you for doing this for us.
Yeah, thanks. This was one of those ones I felt like I executed fine. There was some really awkward routing I did on Death Mountain that I wish I had not done it that way. But for the most part, I felt like I was routing reasonably sanely. And execution-wise, aside from almost dying at Trinex, I felt like I was somewhere between good and solid.
Yeah, Trinex is the only kind of thing, but definitely having the blue potion there. Granted, you always want to save it for Ganon's Tower, but you never want to risk, taking that death, especially if you haven't even left the dungeon since the start. So it's worth just going ahead and throwing it in, and then grabbing like the safety room in Ganon's Tower instead.
Yeah, and it turns out, despite wasting that potion on Trinex, I had a really good gauntlet health-wise. So I got to the top and I said, okay, well, I'm not worried about this at all.
So we may be getting Cadenza in here. Anything you would like to add, Demon, at this point?
No, not really. It was a really fun race to watch. You guys put on a heck of a show. It was really solid routing all throughout, and a lot of it was just, came down to calling out where in the world is that lamp that we never found. And, just really great execution all around as well for what you were given. Especially having to do a hard mode Cane of Berna open for standard mode, yeah.
So one thing I'm not actually sure of, and I should look into it, is I don't know if Berna drains faster in Escape or not. But I was worried that it would, which was why I started using bomb strats on some of the guards, because I knew I could rely on that, and I really didn't want to be saving and quitting in the escape sequence. That's a good way to just sour yourself on the whole run.
Apparently it doesn't, but I was also under the impression at the very start that it does drain more magic. So I think it's just kind of we're used to hard mode and just magic not being really readily available as much for us that we just kind of assume it about everything. But nonetheless, like, it made the escape sequence a little bit easier to do, not having that double drain.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on this, but I want to explicitly say it. I've been hoping all tournament for an all dungeons lampless seed, because I actually do genuinely enjoy dark rooms. I think the ability to do them and break the logic is a really neat way to develop your skills, because there's not a lot of sequence breaks you can actually do in Rando. Or you can do a sequence break, but then it gets erased later. So I like doing dark rooms conceptually as a mechanic, and I get really disappointed when there's an early lamp. And so to get an all dungeons where we didn't have the lamp was kind of fun, and I'm glad it came out.
True. Yeah, I used to understand, like, you find, maybe like the bow at the hobo, and then suddenly you find the flippers at your very next location. You're like, oh, great, I just found it a little bit sooner. But definitely the lamp kind of ignores all that, because it could be in a lot of locations, not necessarily required for a lot of dungeons. And then I was kind of hoping that the Quake too that you found on Eastern Palace would have actually been something that opens up like either Mire or Turtle, because that would have been kind of a cool sequence break.
Yeah, that would have been neat as well. Boy, normally I have no concerns doing early Eastern Palace, even without the lamp. In retro mode though, like that 180 rupee sink did have me questioning how much I wanted to do that room. And then I shot so many arrows in the dark room that I almost felt it would have been easier and faster to buy a key instead of trying to kill the Igor. But yeah, fortunately I didn't get burned too hard by spending that money.
Yeah, it's always that concern of trying to weigh, the money spent from the arrows versus what you actually need to progress, through the seed and buy keys or whatnot. But it really wasn't too big a concern to see because, like I say, we found all that money like very fast, and we were pretty rich. But I think that is all I have. I believe Cadenza is currently interviewing with the French restream that we had going on, so I don't think she's going to show up over here. But also, I just want to extend my congratulations to her for getting through the seed pretty fast, and between the two of you, putting on a great show for all of us. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks again, and yeah, good work to Cadenza. She didn't get lamp. She didn't get lamp either, so I'm a huge fan of her since she can do her dark rooms.
So with that, let's see. I just want to, thank Miss Metroid for doing the tracking for us as always. It's been a real pleasure being able to commentate with you for this demon.
Oh, you as well, JTB. It's been a pleasure.
But I think that's it for. Actually, no, we have one final rando match tonight. We have Aerialis versus Asmati Games happening over at ALTTP Randomizer. I believe started about an hour ago, so that should be coming up pretty soon. I think
Cadenza's in the room with us.
Absolutely.
Did we get
Cadenza, GG on the race.
Thank you.
GG.
So what'd you think of that seed?
Oh, well, overall, it was fine, I think. I was really happy to find bombs in the escape, considering we had Bruna as a weapon, so it's hard to farm bombs. I don't know where that lamp was. It's the first time I have to do a Agatha Tower in the dark, so I was a little bit afraid of that, but it went very well, so... Yeah, it was a cool seed, I think.
Well, you guys put on a heck of a show, and yeah, the lamp didn't show up for either of you. At this point, there was very few locations it could have been. Zora area, which, probably the first time I've ever seen a seed, nobody checked Zora area at all. Front of TR, those were really about the last couple places it could have been, maybe left side swamp, but you guys were pretty neck and neck. The seed seemed to be leading about the same directions, and you guys were always usually within half a dungeon of each other for the longest of times. Was there anything in the logic or just in general that kind of stood out as like what was the seed thinking here, or why did that happen, kind of thing?
Not really. No, I didn't have any thought about something that was weird logic-wise. I thought I was going to Zora at one point. I farmed some rupees in the triple near Kakariko. And I was going to Fake Flippers and go to Zora, but then I got sidetracked by other things and never went back there. But since there was nothing important, I guess I've saved some money so I could buy more keys.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you think of the hard mode Burna open?
Well, I don't think much more of hard mode Burna than normal Burna. You have to be a little bit more careful, but it's not that bad, I think.
Yeah, it's a start I haven't seen since the spring tournament. So it was pretty cool to see you guys get through that, because I know if I had gotten Kanan Burna, I probably would have ran out of magic like multiple times.
Yeah, it's useful to know where there's magic pots in the sewers.
So I think we've already kind of talked a lot about the seed. I know we have another race happening. Like I said, we're at ALTTPR Randomizer. Before we go ahead and cut off, any last thoughts from the two of you before we move over?
This isn't a thought as much as an interesting fact. I finally found the lamp, and it was on the Smiths.
Oh!
What?
Which, was available all that time. It was just available after the initial Skullwoods Thieves Town play. So, going back there was a possibility, but it was never a great play.
Yeah, there was really no good time to do that because, yeah, it's just like you were going from dungeon to dungeon with like that one progression item being found in each one. But it's good. We were all thinking it was going to be T-Rock, but yeah, we were wrong.
All right, and Cadenza, do you have any more matches scheduled coming up?
Not yet. I have 3 matches to schedule, but it's not planned for now.
All right. Well, everybody, just a little bit ways up in the chat, maybe a quick scroll. I've got links in there for both of our runners. Give them both a follow. They put on a heck of a show for you, as well as my co-commentator JTB and our tracker Miss Metroid. Thank you both very much for joining me here covering this match.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure, being able to do this on a nice, comfy Sunday night. So, with that, do want to wish everyone a good rest of your weekend and hope to see you in more randomizer matches coming up.
Absolutely. Take care and good night, everybody.